Hey folks, how's it going? So, I wanted to give you guys an update on what's been going on around here. One of the reasons why I've skipped a couple of days here or there, and I apologize for that. But the main reason for that is that after, a year and a half now of talking about it and being delayed, I finally started construction on the shop. So, here's the floor. I've already got the floor done. So this is going to be my new blacksmith workshop. This is right now the floor is a 10 by 14, but I'm going to have an additional 10 foot of space coming off right here that's under shelter. This section of it, this 10 square feet is going to have a dirt floor because this is where my anvil and my forge and everything is going to be. Um, Obviously, I can't put a forge inside a wooden structure because that's just asking for a fire. So I need an area where I can kind of enclose part of it with some metal and a dirt floor, so it'll be safe. And then this part will be for my grinders, my drill press, and everything I use in the knife making that I do. And this is going to be a big portion of the income for me should things really go south, because I can do my knife making, I can do a bunch of my forging and a lot of other stuff in this. But yeah, anybody that's watched my channel for long enough knows that I've been talking about this for over a year. There's been delays. I couldn't get enough time off from my job to actually work on this with my work schedule. Now I finally have time, and I'm trying to get it done in between the waves of rain that keeps coming through. But I've got the floor done. I'm ready to start framing, and then I'll be ready to put the roof on and enclose it. And then the final part will be here. I'm going to have a uh, let's say I'm going to have a side coming off here. Basically, right here is going to be open. Back here is going to be a wall, and then I'm going to have another wall coming up this way. So I'm going to have a enclosed on three sides for the actual forge area. And I'm looking forward to getting it done. I'm excited about it. I wanted to give you guys another update too, a decision that I've made, and I know a lot of you have probably wondered. Okay, I do a lot of gardening, yes, and I talk about producing your own food and raising livestock if you can, and the importance of that, and how critical it's going to be in the future with the way things are going, with what I see coming down the road. And I've mentioned in the past, and I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, I don't have any animals on my property. And again, one of the reasons was that at the time, my job, I was working 6 to 7 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day. Uh, and I simply did not have the time to manage and properly care for livestock by myself. And that has been one of the big factors in me not having any kind of animals on the property. I've got a lot more free time now. Well, I won't say free time. I've got a lot more time that I can devote to that. Uh, so I've made the decision, partially because of the extra time that I have now, but also due to the situation with the eggs. You know, eggs have gotten so expensive, and there's such a shortage on eggs in some areas. Um, you know, in my area, they're up to uh, 5.29 a dozen in some places. Some places are pushing almost $6. So it's gotten really, really crazy to find that as the lowest price for these eggs. So I've made the decision that I actually want to bring in 3 or 4 hens onto the property. I'm starting small, primarily because at the moment I don't even have a coop set up for them. I've still got to build a coop, uh, and I want to keep it small so that I don't overwhelm myself at first. I've had chickens once before. The old coop that I've got back here in the back is completely collapsed in because it's been years and years since that was used. So I need to build a new coop. But I don't want to go in and get 15 or 20 birds right off the bat. I would rather start small, something easily manageable with everything else that I've got going on, because again, I've got this shop that I got to build. I'm already planning for my garden and what I'm going to be planting out there. That's going to be expanded this coming year. I've got these trees that were recently cut down that I've got to uh, clean up and store the wood away so that I can let it dry so it'll be usable for my projects. For my shop, I've got pine trees down on my uncle's property that if it ever gets dry enough, I need to mill out into slabs for the siding on my shop. That requires a lot of time. So I've just got a lot going on that really dictates how much time I can devote to other things. And just to, again, to keep myself from getting overwhelmed uh, and have too many problems, I want to start small. So, and I don't eat a ton of eggs. Um, just general baking. I eat them for breakfast sometimes, like everybody else, but I don't go through a ton of them. The main reason I would be having them is so that I could have production if for some reason you can't get them at the store anymore, or they just get even more ridiculously expensive. Uh, Plus, it would give me that many more that I can dehydrate and add to my stocks. So again, I've I haven't even figured out exactly where I'm going to put the coop yet. Whether I'm going to do a large permanent one. Eventually, I will do a large permanent coop, but I don't know where I'm going to put that, and I don't know if to start off with I might do a small movable coop. I've got to figure all that out, and I want to get that done before I even buy them. But I just want to let you guys know I have made the decision to uh, go ahead and bring in at least a couple of birds onto the property so that I've got at least one protein source here on the property that can help support uh, myself and my family due to if something should happen. Let me put it that way. This is going to be a short video. I just wanted to give y'all an update on that. I've still got a lot of work to do, and I need to get to work on it here in a minute. Start framing up one of the walls for that shop. And another thing that I wanted to talk about this shop is last year I did some videos on salvaging lumber. And what I did was we got a bunch of new equipment in, new machinery in at my job on these huge, huge pallets. They were 4x4 runners topped with 3/4 inch plywood. And I salvaged several of them. I didn't get as many as I wanted, but I salvaged several of them. And I wanted to show you guys that all of that plywood, I had enough to do this entire deck, except I needed to go buy 2 sheets. I had to buy that sheet right there and this one right here on the end that I had to split in two. The rest of that, there's 5 small sheets there. I salvaged, that's plywood I salvaged off those pallets. And those weren't, those sheets weren't 4 foot by 8 foot like what you would get at the hardware store. They were more like 3 to 3.5 foot by 6.5 foot. It was an odd size. It depended on the size of the pallet the equipment came in on. But just by salvaging that lumber, which took a few days to do, and it only took, I mean, I spent a couple of days where after work I'd go out, I'd break them down, I'd load them up on my truck, I'd bring them in, and I'd stack them up. I did that for 2 or 3 days, and that much lumber would have cost me just for the sheet plywood probably $150 to $200 worth of plywood right there. The 2 new sheets that I bought, managed to get them for $35 a sheet. So, that's $70. I've probably got $140 to $200 worth of plywood for free just for taking the time to break it down. But all of the other lumber from that, I still have. So, as you can see right here, these are 4x4s, and you've got some, I mean, they're odd sizes because they come from Europe, but these are all heavy beams that I've still got that I can work with. And I've got another pile here of more wood. So I still have all of that wood from where I broke down those pallets. And that's all going to be usable. One thing I did want to say is with these 4x here, these can be beams, posts for a lot of other projects. These right here, I can actually rip these down this way and get 3 boards out of each one of these that are going to be close to the size of a 2x3, which will be perfect for framing out a chicken coop or some rabbit pens or anything else like that I might need. So that, just out of that, salvaging that lumber, I got several $100s worth of material just for the time and labor it took to do it. And that's what I was trying to explain to you guys at the time, was that, yeah, it might take time, it might take a lot of work to do it, but that can benefit you and save you a ton of money by salvaging and reusing materials wherever you can. Um, and that was my whole point of doing that, was get that material in, because the end goal was going to be this. And it's already saved me a lot of money, especially with the price of lumber going up like it did. It was at that time that I was salvaging all that material, and people were just throwing it into the dumpster at work. All of that was going to waste. And it's important when you see an opportunity like that, a raw material like that that's just being thrown away, take advantage of it. Yeah, it might take an hour or two after your work, after you get off work or something, but in the long run, it will pay off. If it's something that you can use or something that you can potentially barter with later on, there's some way you can use it to benefit. A lot of these boards still have nails in them. I still got to remove that, but that's going to come in handy, and it's going to go a long way towards building this shop and a lot of other projects. Um, any materials that I have left over, I've already planned to do the expansion on the garden that I've talked about. I've got some pressure treated 2x6s left over from framing in the floor that I'm going to be using to make a couple of raised beds to add to the production that my current garden has. So it's just some updates on what's been going on and why I haven't been posting as much the past couple of days. It's like I've been really busy. Uh, this tree, these 2 trees that were cut down, these were danger trees, posed a threat to my house. But that's also something else that I've got to work on in the next few days, if possible. I've got to get this cleaned up, and I've got to store this lumber, because there's a lot of wood here that I can use for other things, either to make money with projects, what have you. So I've just got a lot going on the property right now. But that's all I wanted to do. Is I just wanted to give you an update on my progress and let you guys know that I know I've talked and talked and talked about my shop, and it always kept getting pushed off. Well, construction has finally begun, and I'm really excited about where this is going, and looking forward to having this done. I want the goal being get this done before it's time to start planning, which only gives me a few weeks, because in this area you would typically start seeds indoors or in a greenhouse around the middle of February. So I don't have a lot of time. I've got to get this done. But that's the update, folks. I'm staying busy. I'm trying to get as much done as I possibly can. Uh, and that's the key. Stay busy, stay productive, get things done, but focus on things that will add value to your property, not necessarily in monetary value, but in producing for you. Uh, my shop gives me an area, a much better area where I can make more money. Uh, I'm focused on expanding the garden, which will produce food. I'm talking about bringing in chickens to provide more food and protein. Um, that's the kind of things you need to think about. You need to be focusing on building self, building self sufficiency into your property, becoming self reliant, and setting yourself up so that if the system does break down, and what a lot of us think is coming, a complete economic collapse or world war, what have you, that's going to be devastating to the economy. And building resiliency in your life, on your property, is one of the best things you can do to help make sure you'll be able to uh, come through it and come out the other side in at least as good a position as you are now, but possibly better. Uh, it's all about self reliance, self sufficiency, and resilience. Make sure that you have a way of producing your own food in case food gets expensive or it gets hard to come by and gets rationed due to war or famine or drought, what have you. Make sure you have a redundant source of water and a way to filter that water. Uh, and make sure you have alternate streams of income. You don't want to be relying on just one source of income. It's all about redundancy, and that's what I'm trying to do here. I've got a lot more plans for things that I need to do, but the the main project here is this shop. Get this done, and then I can move on to other stuff. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't, and as always, don't get complacent. Keep prepping. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves and your families. Take care of and watch out for each other whenever you can. And until next time, folks, I'll catch you.